Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be talking about the belt-fed grenade launcher. One of the most recent belt-fed type weapons we've received. Of course, you can get this from the Siegebreaker's warbond, but I'm gonna be 100 with you, I am not feeling too good about using this weapon. Similar to the armor passive in this warbond, these are probably one of the weakest gear, but we can talk about that during the video, so let's get straight into it. So taking a look at its damage stats, we can see that it has an explosion radius of 2 meters and an outer radius of 4 meters, with a shockwave of 5.5, but it has only a damage number of 150. It also has heavy penetration for both the explosion and the projectile, but the projectile does no damage. This small damage number is going to be the main problem for this weapon. You want to keep the inner radius and the outer radius for the explosion in mind, because the inner radius is where you do max damage, and then damage slowly tapers off down to 0 as it gets closer to the edges, which isn't a lot. It also has 3 different firing modes, one for firing at 160 RPM, a fire rate for 240, and then a fire rate for 320. I think this is the only fire rate you'll ever need for this weapon because its damage is so small. If you're ever needing the resupply and ammo, just keep in mind supply packs are the only thing that will fully load it up. But if you're being supported by a supply pack user, it can only give you 50, and there's a certain distance that you need to be at to use this weapon without it bonking off your enemy's head.
Oh, but Gundam Boy, why wouldn't I just bring supply pack and grenade launcher?
Toxidiver actually brings up a good point that we're gonna have to talk about later in the video, because the further and longer I worked on this video, the more and more I felt about this weapon. But let's talk about how it fares on each front first. Let's start on the bug front, where there's a lot more squishy targets to kill. But it's not the best, let me just say already. Going up against something like a hunter, they can survive one shot. If you're using it against something like a Hive Guard, it will take around 4 shots to kill them. So if you want to get the most out of this grenade launcher for killing enemies, you want to wait for them to be in massive hordes so you can spread your damage throughout the group. But you have to keep in mind with that very small blast radius, you have to make sure the enemies are really clumped together. And since it has heavy penetration, it can face off with things like chargers. It's good to note that the charger isn't that explosive resistant, and since it has such a low XDR score, means you can aim for other parts of the body to really kill it. Because if it was 100% XDR, it would transfer straight to the main health pool. So if you're going up against a charger and a head-on, try to aim for this pit. It allows you to spread out the damage more evenly throughout the head, the leg, and the back to help you really kill the enemy. If you're going up against something like the Impaler, it has absolutely no XDR whatsoever, so feel free to shoot at any segment of the body. But if you're shooting its direct flesh, it will transfer to the main health pool, which to no one's surprise kills it really quickly. I'm pretty sure a butterfly has more durability than this thing. Otherwise, it's a alright counter to Impalers. You just have to make sure you use it at the max fire rate. Oh, and against something like the Bile Titan, don't even think about bringing it to counter these guys, as you'll already be out of ammo by the time the next Bile Titan comes around the corner. Even if it does have an XDR of 50, you have to hit a lot of parts of this Bile Titan to really do some meaningful damage. Have you ever tried to kill a cow with a butter knife? Well, I kill mine with a rail cannon. I gotta say, overall on the bug front, I have a very mixed feeling towards this weapon, because not one-shotting things like hunters is weird, but being able to mow down things like chargers feels good. But if you're using it on level 10 difficulty, you're going to be chugging for ammo. Otherwise, the only thing I could really say that's positive for this weapon on the bug front is that it's like a glorified grenade pistol. You have 100 rounds to spare to close a bunch of bug nests. It's a little green here, don't you think, boys? And I definitely wouldn't use it for demolition, as you already have to manage so much of your ammo. Should you really be using it on the Spore Spewer? Just throw red at it, come on. It's been a hot minute since I've used a weapon that made me miss using other gear. Like when I was using it to kill crowds, it made me miss using the Maxi gun, or even the Flamethrower Guard Dog gas pair, but only use the belt fed if the enemies are in thick groups. The only way you can get the most out of that 150 damage. Now let's talk about it on the Illuminate front, where the Voteless can survive one shot. This is the heavy variant of the Voteless, but even when you use it against the light variant, which has less armor, it still doesn't die, and it takes 2 rounds to kill both of them. But if you do hit one of the Voteless, they will eventually bleed out, but I don't feel like waiting this long for them to die. I'm not waiting 15 seconds for them to bleed out after I hit them with a grenade launcher. If you use something like the gas grenade, you can bypass this bleed out state and just kill them in one shot, but I might as well just shoot them in the foot. Otherwise, against Overseers, you have to keep an eye out for them. They take around 4 shots to die. You gotta utilize it like it's a bolter and hit them head on. But its flying variant, the elevated Overseer, should only take 3 rounds, but it is a little hard to hit him because this weapon has so much gravity. If you're going up against the flesh mob itself, you will have to aim for the center of mass, and you'll be able to kill it within 11 shots. Going up against the Harvester, it has way more explosive resistance, actually 100, which means most of the damage will transfer to the main health. Otherwise, it feels like a pretty ineffective way to kill Harvesters, taking more than a quarter to kill them. And exactly how I felt on the book front with this weapon is how I feel on the Illuminate. I feel like it does good at killing certain enemy units like flesh mobs, but it feels so weird knowing how much rounds it takes to kill things like Voteless. And finally, let's talk about it on the bot front. It's a good counter against massive groups of Automaton troopers, but what weapon isn't good against Automaton troopers? Utilizing this weapon against something like a Devastator, it takes around 5 direct hits to kill them. If you're going up against something like Berserkers, you can hit them with it, but it takes around 5 rounds just like the normal Devastators. And if you're right underneath their bot drop, this is the best time to start ripping the grenade launcher at. Just look out for friendly stratagems. Up against something like the Hulk, it is 100% XDR, which means it goes straight to the health pool. I mean, his head is his main health, but if it's targeted the main health, it should take around 12 shots to kill it, assuming you're not hitting them in the back. I do have to say it is pretty funny when you hit them with the grenade launcher, as it does dig them a hole. It's like you're pre-building a grave. In this test specifically, I was able to kill it in 18 rounds, but I just don't think it's worth it. If you ever want to experience a 9-to-5 job, go underneath the factory strider and shoot him in his stomach. And if you want to know what it's like to work a 24-hour job, go and shoot him in the head. And also pray that their teammates don't throw a bomb on you. But it can kill things like base cannons with no problem. But God forbid you try to bring this to destroy these stupid bioprocessors. It is not worth it to try and destroy them. It just takes all your ammo. Overall, I'd have to say on the bot front, I get the same feeling that I have when I was using on the Illuminate front. I felt like I should have been using a completely different weapon. When you think about something like the normal grenade launcher, which has a explosion damage at 400 with a wider radius, it makes you wonder, why would I even bring something like the belt-fed grenade launcher at all? Because for what it can do, it's outperformed. Even though they have similar damage numbers, you have to say 400 damage is a lot beefier than 150. I gotta say, from where it's sitting right now, the belt-fed grenade launcher just feels like it's in a weird place. What's really gutting it is that 150 explosion, because the belt-fed grenade launcher sure can get its damage output faster, but the standard grenade launcher has way more punch than its little brother. And if you pair it with something like the supply pack, you actually have way more total rounds than the actual belt-fed pack. Including the 4 belts that come with the grenade launcher already, and the 3 that you get for each supply, you have 160 grenades overall. It makes you really wonder, what is the point of the belt-fed grenade launcher? Because in its current state, I would feel like using the grenade launcher supply pack would be the better option. I think everybody here can agree that we all would have just preferred them to attach the belt-fed backpack to the grenade launcher we have now, because you'd think a weapon that takes up both your backpack and support slot would have way more power to it. It feels like someone put a support weapon into the primary slot. The overall performance for this weapon feels all over the place, but I think if you ever want me to touch this weapon again, it needs more damage or more ammo. It can't be running at 150. But overall, I'd have to say I'm not that big on this weapon, and I probably won't be using it too much for my games. But that's just my opinion on it. What do you guys personally think about the belt-fed grenade launcher? Leave it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Boo, it's the Gundam face. Hey guys, I'm going to be playing more than just Helldivers now. I want to do more variety content. You see me doing model kit building videos. If you've seen my recent Resident Evil videos, I've been playing those too. But you gotta make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell to see me, because I will be stepping out of my usual niche. But if you're only here for the Helldivers content, don't worry, it's not going anywhere. Because somebody has to talk about why the mechs feel like ass right now.